my name is Gloria Castillo, and this is the Whiskers board game that I've been working on for the past 2 weeks, I do believe. So first things first, I'm actually in my niece's room, which is where I study. I do all my homework here. I have internet at my sister's house, so it explains this area and this lovely seat. And another thing to explain, I might have mismeasured my board. Very badly, might I add. As in, regardless of using the same board that I had initially for my playtest, I used the same file type. I just pasted the artwork over it and the fixed areas. I somehow ended up with this lovely board, which is a little too big for the camera here. Well, it definitely fixed up the unreadable areas here. This area now is legible, but unfortunately I can't really use it for this demonstration. So instead I will be using my previous board, which is how this board should have turned out, and use this board as a demonstration instead. So this is the Whiskers board game board without the nice looking graphics on it. It's a lot simpler, it's more regular. I've got rooms here. Like, this is the initial starting room. Yeah, this is the initial starting room where characters will first start out in. I hope you can see that one. And we've got our characters here. We've got Mr. Whiskers, the Boar Man. Get that there. If they could stand, that'd be great. Barker here. Ugly Ben. These are our enemies. And we also have our characters here. We've got the main character of the actual video game, who is William Johnson. Adam Linton, right here. Let me grab her last name. Alexis Chodari. And Amara Zhu. And those are the protagonists that players can choose from to play as. Alright, the way the board is set up is, our components first. Every player gets a set of cards that they can use. They get 2 cards, only a stun and extra steps in the beginning. Stun lets them stun one of the enemy characters for 1 turn. And extra steps gives players 2 extra steps, including the 4 that they have, to be able to hopefully get away from the danger zone that enemies can possess. And to set up the board, we've got these chips here. Each of them contain different things. There are extra items that players can pick up, including the famed Immobilize, which immobilizes enemies for not 1 turn but 2 turns. So that gives the players a little bit more of a headway in the game. And so here we've got items that they can pick up, passcodes, which there needs to be 4 that get collected that need to be taken to the safe in order for player. That's one of the components of how players get to escape the house that Mr. Whiskers has them trapped in. And keys here. Okay, so keys have designated areas. They're going to be numbered key 1, key 2, and they're going to go to their corresponding key areas. For example, here we've got lock 2, so key 2 would open lock 2. Players must put the key into the corresponding area, and if they pick up a key item, they can't pick up any other item that is around on the board. That is the only item they can pick up, and then they have to place in the area before they can pick up any other item. Makes that game a little bit more difficult. Passcodes, on the other hand, if you pick up one, you can stack them. You can pick up all of the passcodes, or just one, or not. But before you can place any of the passcodes into the safe, all 4 doors have to be unlocked for that to happen. And okay, so to set up our items, we would first take our randomizers here. We've got the alphabet here and the numbers here, and on the board there is, not in the greatest handwriting, but that's upside down. We've got the alphabet here and the numbers down over here. So to randomize it, we would pick one number. We got 14 here, and one letter, 14N. So this item would go to, let's see if I can find it, N14. So this item would get placed in that area. That way it adds replayability to the game, so no item is ever going to be in the same place. And to start off the game, every player starts in room 1 here. And every player gets 4 spaces to move. So players can move forward, backwards, side to side. They don't have to move linearly, so it can be 1, 2, 3, 4, and that takes up all 4 of their spaces that they can use. They don't have to use all 4 spaces either. They can use less than that. They can use 1 space or just 2, however much is needed. And for the first 2 rounds, players they don't get any enemy interaction, so that gives them 8 spaces max that they can move from room 1, and it gives them just a little bit of a better chance of escaping. And okay, every player also gets 2 life tokens here. If an enemy captures them, they have to go back to room 1 and they lose 1 life token. Once all life tokens are taken, they have died and don't get any more chances to play. Alright, enemies also spawn in randomly, and it depends on what enemies you have on the playing field. Mr. Whiskers will always be a constant. He is an enemy that has to be played always on the field in whichever game. Foreman, Ugly Ben, and where'd he go? Barker here, they can be played interchangeably, as in there has to be always 1 less of these enemies than there are players. So for example, if there are 3 players, one of these guys would have to be left behind, excluding Mr. Whiskers. He is always a constant there. And enemies get spawned in, also randomly, for the first turn. Whiskers will come once every 3 turns, stay 2 turns, disappear for another 3, and then come back in, because he has a bigger capture area. If Mr. Whiskers is standing here, he has an area of, let me get it closer here. He has an all-around surrounding capture area. Example, he's standing here, he can capture any player within this area. So if they stand in his bubble or move past his bubble, right there, they're captured and taken to the beginning room. Out of all of the players, out of all of the enemies, Mr. Whiskers is the only enemy that can walk through walls. So walls don't hinder him. He can pass through them and basically go wherever on the board. All the other enemies, they are hindered by walls and they can't pass through them and all of that. So the boardman has a capture area of 2 blocks in front of him. So he gets these two blocks and 1 block on each side of him. He can't see behind him. And let's see. Who's next? Yep. Barker has a capture area of 1 block in front of him, 1 block to the side, to either side, but not behind him. So he can see up front and to the side, but nothing behind. And Ugly Ben has a capture area of 2 to the side and 1 to the front, but none behind. So players can sneak behind him like that. And once the enemies have been spawned in, the way they move is through 4-sided die here, where we would roll, pick it up, and whatever's on the bottom, so this would be up, whichever way they are facing is up, and we take a die, roll it, 6. So Ugly Ben here would go 6 spaces up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If there is a wall hindering him, we get to roll the die again and use up the 4-sided die and use up the remaining spaces that he has. After that, enemies do stay within the game until the game is over. But Mr. Whiskers is the only enemy that pops in and out throughout the game. The game is won once all surviving players have made it to the escape over here to the side. Once they have unlocked all the locked doors, opened the safe, and gotten out, the game is won. And the game is lost once all the players lose their life tokens here, and that means the enemies have won. And I do believe that was it. Thank you for watching.